Anger is an emotion that often consumes us and makes it difficult to see life clearly. Imagine being free from this burden for an entire day. Think of situations where you were overwhelmed by anger. What kind of life would you lead without those moments? Now visualize a new path where your behavior is dominated by tranquility and peace. And what if I told you there are simple methods to transform these emotions into something useful? Anger is a clear signal. What is it trying to show you? Often, this emotion represents something deeper. By understanding this, you can begin to uncover new ways to deal with the challenges you encounter every day. Moreover, is it possible to regain tranquility amidst chaos? Consider the freedom that would result from that. Every difficult situation would transform into an opportunity for improvement. Think about how your life would change if you could smile instead of shout in the face of adversity. You should be ready to explore this new horizon where anger has no place. Understanding anger. Anger is an emotion that we all feel at some point in life. It can arise for various reasons, such as frustration, hurt, or injustice. What many people do not realize is that behind this intense emotion, there are psychological and physiological causes that can be explored. Often, anger is triggered by emotional triggers, which can be specific situations or even memories of past experiences. These triggers can lead to unexpected reactions, turning a simple situation into a major conflict. Additionally, our bodies react to anger in ways we do not always notice. When we become irritated, adrenaline and other hormones are released, preparing us for a fight or flight response. This physiological response is a legacy from our ancestors, who needed to be ready to face dangers. Therefore, understanding that anger is not just an emotion but also a physical reaction is an important step in dealing with it better. In many cases, anger can be a way of communicating that something is wrong. However, if not managed properly, it can lead to disproportionate and harmful reactions. Thus, exploring the causes of anger can help us recognize behavioral patterns and identify the situations that irritate us the most. With this understanding, it is possible to begin working on managing this emotion. It is interesting to note that anger varies from person to person. While some may become irritated quickly, others may take longer to feel this emotion. This depends on factors such as personality, past experiences, and even the environment in which a person lives. Therefore, everyone should seek to understand their own relationship with anger so that they can deal with this emotion in a healthy way. Finally, recognizing anger as a natural emotion is fundamental. Accepting that we all feel anger at some point can help demystify this emotion. When we understand that anger is a human response, it becomes easier to explore ways to control and express it constructively. Emotional control techniques. Once we understand anger, the next step is to learn how to control it. There are several practical techniques that can help in this process. One of the simplest yet most effective is deep breathing. When we feel anger, our breathing tends to become rapid and shallow. By breathing deeply, we can calm our bodies and minds, reducing the intensity of the emotion. This technique can be performed anywhere and at any time, making it a valuable tool in daily life. Another effective strategy is mindfulness, which involves being present in the moment and observing our thoughts and emotions without judgment. When we practice mindfulness, we can notice when anger begins to arise and can act before the situation escalates. This practice can be developed through daily meditations or even intense moments, where we take a pause to focus on our breathing and what we are feeling. Cognitive restructuring is also a powerful technique for managing anger. This strategy involves changing the way we think about a situation that irritates us. Instead of focusing solely on what bothers us, we can try to see things from a different perspective. This does not mean ignoring our feelings, but rather finding ways to interpret them in a way that does not lead us to explosive reactions. By altering our thoughts, we can transform anger into a more manageable emotion. Additionally, it is important to practice self-reflection. At the end of a day, or after a tense situation, we can ask ourselves what triggered our anger and how we reacted to it. This practice helps identify patterns and develop greater emotional awareness. Over time, this analysis can help us avoid triggers that tend to irritate us. Last but not least, talking to someone we trust about our feelings can be very helpful. Sharing experiences and venting about anger can alleviate the emotional burden and provide new perspective. Sometimes, hearing someone else's opinion can help us see the situation differently, making the emotional control process easier. Impact of anger on health. Chronic anger can have several negative consequences for both physical and mental health. When someone lives in a constant state of irritation, it can lead to high levels of stress. Stress, in turn, is linked to a series of health problems, such as high blood pressure and heart disease. Therefore, it is essential to recognize that anger affects not only our minds but also our bodies. Moreover, unmanaged anger can lead to more serious emotional disorders, such as anxiety and depression. When a person does not know how to deal with anger, they may feel overwhelmed, resulting in a cycle of negative emotions. This situation can cause the person to distance themselves from friends and family, creating an isolation that only exacerbates the problem. Anger can also impact sleep. Those who struggle with anger often have difficulty relaxing, which can lead to sleepless nights. Lack of sleep, in turn, can increase irritability, creating a vicious cycle. Thus, it is essential to treat anger not just as an emotional problem, but also as a matter of overall health. On the other hand, managing anger can bring significant benefits. When we learn to control this emotion, we are investing in our physical and mental health. This can translate into a more balanced lifestyle, with fewer risks of stress-related diseases. In addition, having better emotional control can improve our relationships, making us more understanding and empathetic. Finally, recognizing the impacts of anger on health is an important step toward change. By understanding that this emotion can have serious consequences, we can motivate ourselves to seek control techniques and coping strategies. This not only improves our quality of life, but also helps us live in a healthier and happier way. Change of perspective. Changing the way we view challenging situations can be key to reducing anger. Often, we allow ourselves to be carried away by a negative view of events, which intensifies our feelings of frustration and irritation. Instead of seeing a problem as a personal attack, we can try to view it as an opportunity for learning. This shift in perspective not only helps to reduce anger, but also opens up space for more creative solutions. For example, imagine someone interrupted your work. The immediate reaction may be anger. However, if you think this person may be having a tough day, the situation becomes more understandable. This new way of looking at others can soften anger and allow for more constructive dialogue. You might even ask if the person needs anything, turning a tense moment into an opportunity for connection. It's also important to practice empathy. Putting ourselves in someone else's shoes can change how we react. When we can understand others' motivations, it becomes easier to control anger. This practice is not limited to conflict situations, but should be a daily exercise. The more we train our minds for this, the more natural this response becomes. Additionally, recognizing that we do not have control over everything around us is fundamental. Often, anger arises when we try to control the uncontrollable. By accepting that some situations are beyond our reach, we can find greater inner peace. This acceptance helps create a mental space where anger holds less power. Finally, changing perspective also involves focusing on solutions rather than problems. Instead of getting stuck on how something went wrong, think about how you can fix or improve the situation. This proactive approach is a significant step toward living with less anger and more tranquility. Assertive communication. Assertive communication is a powerful tool for expressing feelings and needs without letting anger take over. Often, we feel frustrated because we don't know how to make ourselves heard. Instead of shouting or remaining silent, assertive communication teaches us to speak clearly and respectfully. This not only improves relationships but also helps to prevent conflicts. One of the first steps to assertive communication is using I instead of you. Instead of saying, "You made me angry," try, "I feel frustrated when this happened." This small change can transform an accusation into an expression of feelings, which tends to avoid defensive reactions from the other person. Thus, the conversation flows in a healthier way. Another technique is to be specific about what is causing the problem. Speaking vaguely can generate confusion and frustration. For example, instead of stating, "You never listened to me," say, "In that conversation, I felt like I wasn't heard. This helps the person understand exactly what bothers you, facilitating dialogue. Moreover, it's essential to stay calm when communicating. If you notice anger starting to arise, take a pause. Breathe deeply, organize your thoughts, and resume the conversation when you feel calmer. This emotional control is fundamental for communication to be truly assertive and not reactive. Lastly, remember that communication is a two-way street. Be open to hearing the other side and considering their perspectives. This not only demonstrates respect, but can also lead to more effective solutions and mutual understanding. Assertive communication is, therefore, a path to healthier and less conflictual relationships. Self-help practices. Self-help practices are essential for preventing anger and promoting emotional well-being. One of the most effective ways to deal with anger is to maintain a routine of physical exercise. You don't have to be an athlete, but simple activities like walking, running, or practicing yoga can release endorphins that help improve mood. When the body is active, the mind also tends to feel lighter. Another practice that can be very beneficial is meditation. Setting aside a few minutes each day to meditate can help calm the mind and reduce anxiety. Meditation also teaches one to observe thoughts without clinging to them, which is crucial when it comes to controlling anger. Over time, this practice can become a powerful ally in emotion management. Journaling, or writing a diary, is another technique that can be very helpful. Putting feelings on paper helps to process and better understand what is causing anger. By writing, you can identify patterns and triggers, as well as find ways to deal with these situations more healthily. It is a form of self-knowledge that promotes reflection. Additionally, creating a calm environment at home can help reduce anger. This involves everything from organizing the space to choosing pleasant lighting and sounds. A harmonious environment contributes to a more balanced emotional state. If you feel good where you are, it's easier to control emotional reactions. Finally, cultivating hobbies and enjoyable activities is also an effective way to prevent anger. Spending time on something you love can be a great escape and a way to channel energy positively. Whether it's cooking, painting, or playing an instrument, these activities help keep the mind occupied and reduce emotional tension. Culture of peace and empathy. Cultivating a culture of peace and empathy in social interactions is essential to minimize anger and conflicts. In a world where people are increasingly connected but also more emotionally distant, promoting empathy becomes a challenge, yet it is extremely necessary. When we manage to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, we are more likely to understand situations more broadly and react with compassion. One way to promote this culture is to encourage open and respectful dialogues. Creating spaces where people can express themselves without fear of judgment is essential. This can be done in work environments, families, or groups of friends. When people feel safe to share, there is less chance of misunderstandings arising and consequently, anger. Education also plays a crucial role in building a culture of peace. Teaching from an early age about the importance of empathy and peaceful conflict resolution can have a lasting impact. Children who learn to value empathy are more likely to become adults who contribute to a more harmonious social environment. Additionally, it is important to recognize that we all face challenges and difficulty. When we look at others with compassion, we understand that anger can be a reaction to deep pain and frustration. Instead of reacting aggressively, we can offer support. This change of attitude can transform relationships and reduce tension in various situations. Lastly, cultivating gratitude and recognition among people can also help create an atmosphere of peace. When we express appreciation, we are building a more positive environment and strengthening social bonds. This simple practice can make a significant difference in how we relate to one another, and consequently, in reducing anger in our daily interaction. Self-help practices. When it comes to dealing with anger, self-help practices can be extremely effective. One of the most recommended activities is physical exercise. Physical activity releases endorphins, which are brain chemicals that help improve mood. Taking a walk, running, or even practicing yoga can help dissipate accumulated tension. Moreover, regular exercise not only improves physical health but also contributes to emotional well-being. Another practice that has proven to be quite useful is meditation. Setting aside a few minutes each day to meditate can bring great mental clarity and tranquility. During meditation, focusing on the breath and practicing mindfulness helps calm the mind and reduce emotional reactivity. Over time, this practice can teach a person to respond more calmly to situations that would normally trigger anger. Journaling, or writing in a diary, is another technique worth considering. Putting thoughts and feelings on paper can be a powerful way to process emotions. By writing about what triggered the anger, a person can gain perspective and better understand their reaction. Additionally, recording moments of gratitude can help shift focus and stimulate positive emotions, thereby reducing the predisposition to anger. Other activities that can be incorporated into daily routines are hobbies and creative activity. Painting, playing an instrument, or cooking, for example, can serve as outlets for accumulated tension. These activities not only distract the mind, but also provide a sense of accomplishment and pleasure, which can be very beneficial for emotional control. Finally, establishing a self-care routine is essential. This can include getting enough sleep, eating a balanced diet, and setting aside time to relax. Taking care of oneself is fundamental for maintaining emotional balance and preventing episodes of anger. By adopting healthy habits, a person becomes more resilient to stressors and less prone to explosive reactions. Culture of peace and empathy. Cultivating a culture of peace and empathy is one of the most important steps to minimize anger in social interactions. Empathy involves the ability to put oneself in another's shoes, understanding their emotions and perspective. When people strive to understand each other, the tendency to enter into conflict decreases. This does not mean that everyone will always agree, but respectful dialogue can open pathways to peaceful solution. One way to promote this culture is through active listening. This means truly hearing what the other person is saying, without interrupting or formulating a response while they are speaking. This practice helps create an environment where everyone feels valued and understood. When people feel that their voices are heard, they are less likely to respond with anger. Additionally, emotional education from childhood can be a powerful tool. Teaching children about emotions, how to recognize and express feelings in a healthy way, can prevent many future conflicts. School programs that incorporate socio-emotional education help create a more empathetic and conscious generation that deals better with adversities. Another strategy is to promote spaces for dialogue, creating opportunities for people to come together and discuss their differences respectfully can help dismantle prejudices and misunderstanding. Community forums, discussion groups, and even informal gatherings can be effective in building bridges between different perspectives. Finally, it is important to remember that change starts with ourselves. Practicing empathy in our daily lives, whether at home, at work, or in social interactions, can inspire others to do the same. When people see examples of empathy and peace, they tend to adopt this behavior, creating a positive cycle that benefits everyone. Now that you have learned these valuable lessons about anger, time to reflect. Ask yourself, how can you apply these teachings in your everyday life? Imagine living in a world where anger has no place, where you can respond with calm and understanding. This is possible. Every time anger arises, remember the tools we discussed here. Take a deep breath, count to 10, and seek understanding instead of reaction. But it doesn't stop there. How can you transform a moment of anger into an opportunity for growth? Think about the situations that tend to irritate. What can you learn from them? What if, instead of being carried away, you use these experiences to become an even stronger and more centered person? The journey to serenity requires practice, but every effort is worth it. Share your experiences and how you deal with anger in the comments. This exchange can inspire many. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content that transforms your life. After all, wisdom is within your reach. Let's embark on this journey of self-discovery and transformation together.